let's dive right in.
So, a bit more energy, Alexei. Come on, man.
Sorry, I'll do it again. I could do it like Paul Stanley.
No. Just say again. Just say again.
It would just blow the speakers again. So let's dive right in. Rock and Roll Over. This is the 5th studio album by Kiss, released in 1976. So basically, Destroyer was pretty good, did pretty well, and at this point, Alive is still selling. So things are looking pretty good, pretty good. So within the same year as Destroyer's release, we get another album, which is the 5th in the span of 3 years. That's the 5th studio album in 3 years, which is, quite prolific. However, maybe we're looking at quantity over quality. Maybe. What do you guys think?
Yeah, they're hustling. They're getting stuff out.
Yeah, they're hustling.
I got the impression, especially with this album, not to jump the gun, but like albums, for some people, maybe especially back then, it's really not seen as this artistic endeavor, especially in contrast to Destroyer. This album is really just like, it's their job. We've got to get another album out. Just some more songs.
Yeah, especially like the kind of artistic direction they went with this one. Should we say like how different it is to Destroyer? I think they kind of wanted that. We're just gonna rock and roll, man. We're just gonna get in the studio, whip out a few songs, and that's it.
Yeah,
I think we could argue the change in the direction maybe a bit later, but I would put that more down to ineptitude rather than like a purposeful change in direction. But we'll get onto that in a bit. So it comes to getting back into the studio, and Bob Ezrin is gone. He's gone. There's no sign of him. I mean, like, why would you keep someone who basically was the architect behind your most successful album? I mean, why would you do that? Now, I can give you guys sort of a choice, right? So, I would either like to get your takes on this, or I could tell you more about what the band's takes on this decision is, and then get your opinion. What would you rather do?
I'm interested to see what the band thinks. Are we talking about for Bob Ezrin?
Yeah, what his departure means, why they might have decided not.
I mean, because I'm guessing he just had better offers, or he wanted to go back to work with Alice Cooper or somebody else.
Yeah, that would be my guess. Yeah.
You're wrong. You're wrong. You're both wrong. He wanted to do it. He was happy to do it. He was into it. But it was the band decided. Why would we do that? Much like it'd be like George Martin getting rid of the Beatles. Ridiculous. It was basically, for a few reasons. Ace and Peter wanted to get back to being a 4-piece rock and roll band. And according to, this is from Paul and Gene. Paul and Gene said it's mainly Peter and Ace at this point. They just say, no, we want to get back to just being like 4-piece, making straight ahead rock and roll music. Also, Destroyer, actually, it took quite a while to grow in critical standing. At the time, critics were a little bit bamboozled by it. Paul felt as well that they had grown since working with Bob Ezrin, and they were kind of ready to sort of go out on their own. They sort of graduated, and they can make an album that had more of sort of a straight ahead rock and roll, meat and potatoes sort of approach, because that had worked so well on the first 3 albums. It's a bizarre decision, absolutely bizarre. I think that in a lot of ways, I think that they were probably quite insecure about their musicianship, and I think they just had too much pride to be nannied again.
Insecure about being questioned by old Bobby?
I think so. Well, I think I can sort of believe Paul and Gene when they say that Ace and Peter just couldn't do it. They just couldn't. They couldn't deal with that level of control and micromanagement as they did. But I also think that, again, they're such egomaniacs that if you give them just a bit of success, I think they just think, oh yeah, we can do anything now. But regardless of that, regardless of Bob Ezrin no longer being in the picture, and we can talk about his presence lacking more in a bit, a familiar face did come back to produce the album. Eddie Kramer, who had worked with Hendrix and Zeppelin. He also produced Alive, which would probably on paper be quite a good choice. Pretty good choice. Get some kind of heavy tones, and most importantly, a heavy drum sound, which is what they wanted. They wanted a massive drum sound like John Bonham. Okay. So much so that they recorded the whole album in a theatre, which meant Peter set up the kit right in the middle of the theatre, so it would have this sort of really boomy sound, sort of like that When the Levee Breaks sound. And according to Paul, he said that because of this setup, because of the setup that they had, that even a chimp hitting on pots and pans could sound massive, just because of that environment. But somehow, the drums still came out tinny. He sort of came to the conclusion that John Bonham was that sound, and Peter Criss just was no John Bonham. I mean, he's not wrong. Peter Criss isn't John Bonham, but that can't be why the drums sound that way. Like, surely not.
Are you paraphrasing Paul there?
That's Paul. Sorry, I should have been more accurate. That is basically paraphrasing something that Paul has said in his autobiography.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard. I think this part of mixing is a bit harder for us to cover because, again, drums can sound so massive now. And you don't even have to be that good a producer. But
I would argue on Destroyer, like on Do You Love Me specifically, the drums sound great. The drums sound massive.
Yeah, I was going to say that we've heard the drums sound better on previous albums.
Yeah,
I've got it here that they recorded a lot of the drums Peter Criss was in a bathroom and was like communicating.
I've heard that.
It says video link. I'm not sure what that means in 1977.
Yeah. Well, that's like that's for like Wikipedia. That's Wikipedia's take. What I've got is from Paul's autobiography, which I don't know. There's contrasting.
Which one is more trustworthy?
For all of them. Which one is more trustworthy? I don't know. Unless Paul Stanley edits his own Wikipedia page, which I can totally see him doing. But in any case, I'm not being funny, but that's just, you gotta be realistic. It's not like John Bonham just jumps, like, on a drum kit and it automatically sounds like When the Levee Breaks. Do you know what I mean? Like, I understand that, like, there is a difference in style, big difference in style. Peter Criss is, very, very high hat centered, very toms and floor tom centered. He's not really like a big kick and snare guy, which is what John Bonham was. Like, I get that, but just stop shitting on Peter. Basically, stop shitting on Peter. He's all right. Well, he's not. He's a terrible drummer, but just leave him alone.
Whoa.
Anyway,
okay.
Even more tensions are starting to rise at this stage in the band. Peter and Ace's song submissions were seen as not being up to par and were heavily rewritten. Peter would bring songs in on little tapes, on little cassettes, most of which he wrote with co-writers. Now, the reason why he would play the band on cassettes, and this is again according to Paul, is because he had no other way of playing them, the songs, because he didn't play any instruments. He also, which he does, he plays drums, Paul. Don't be silly.
Silly boy.
You gotta just turn around, he's right there, he's playing drums, don't be daft. He plays the drums, and he sings beautifully. He also said that these songs that Peter brought in weren't songs to begin with. He said the words never rhymed, and there was no delineation between verse and chorus.
How can they say that? Because that didn't stop some of the songs on this album that we're going to talk about. Especially when it comes to lyrics.
Well, actually, that song specifically was very, very heavily ruined. Oh, wait. Do you mean the lack of rhyming? That didn't stop them from on other songs, because if you're thinking what you're thinking,
material, just the lack
yeah. Which is kind of interesting also, that you say that.
I can hear you paraphrasing Paul just now, because I can just hear that. There's like loads of clips on YouTube of him reading his autobiography. He's like,
it's
these
great.
songs that they brought in were hardly songs at all. I could just hear him saying that, even though I've not heard that. I can hear him.
I know. Also, like, I'm not being funny, Paul, but you weren't exactly writing Axis Bowler's Love on this album, were you? You know, you like he's trying to kind of paint this picture like after Bob Ezrin, but like Bob Ezrin had imparted so much wisdom and knowledge onto them that they were like, we needed someone to quality control. We're quality controlling that. So when Peter comes in with scraps of a song, and it's not up to par, because of what we learned from Bob Ezrin, we need to quality control that. I don't know. Basically, what it has made me excited for is to listen to Peter Criss's solo album, because apparently it's the worst out of the four. Mainly because of his musically, he is incredibly inept in terms of being a songwriter.
Are you actually being serious? Because it's the one I'm looking forward to the most right now, from what we've heard so far.
I am. Actually, in a weird way, it's the one that I agree. In the weird way, it's the one that I'm actually most hopeful for, because I like his voice. I like his voice a lot. Yeah. He always seems to lift their music when he sings and stuff. So it's actually, on paper, I would be the most psyched for it. Anyway, he basically, because of Beth, he started to expect for him to write his own songs and not want to sing anyone else's. Again, let's not overshoot. Come on. It's like what I was saying last time about how Beth came out and he had this massive grandiose sense of self-worth because he was like convinced he wrote the hit. So at this point, from what I gather, I mean, yeah, it is Paul. I know Paul's a bit of a bell end, but apparently he does become quite hard to work with at this point. Ace's substance abuse was getting way out of hand. He was incredibly inebriated all the time, basically during this period. And I don't know, I think you can sort of hear it in the guitar playing a little bit.
Well, he doesn't have any songwriting credits, right? I think he's got 0.
No, he hasn't got one. Yeah. He hasn't got one. He has 0 songwriting credits on this album. And some of the solos are a bit shonky. A little bit shonky. But we can talk about that later. He was incredibly inebriated all the time. He was buying Nazi memorabilia and just kind of acting like a bit of a goose. And he has no writing credit, as you pointed out, Alex. But despite this, the album gets released. And it gets released on the 11th of November 1976. It peaks at number 11. And that's not too shabby. That's pretty good. Not too bad. And this album is sort of seen as as part of a run of albums where Kiss were commercially and critically at their peak, in their prime. This is kind of like the second in a run of albums which is seen as very much as like a gravy train for the band. Like, this is kind of like Destroyer, this, then Love Gun. This is when all the merchandising started to like properly take off. They were seeing a lot of money out of it. Paul Stanley says it was exhilarating to hear about how much money was going into his bank account. It was a thrill he had never had before in his life, which I think says a lot about the band. And so what we have here is not something that's like, as an album in itself, is particularly glorified, but part of more of a part of a place and time where Kiss was seen as culturally pretty significant. How true that is, I don't know. I wasn't there. But the way these things get told and the way these things get sort of rewritten, it very much seems like it was very much plays out like this is them sort of at their peak.
I totally see what you're saying, because you can call it confidence or you can call it arrogance, sort of like shines through on this album a lot. I think with some of the choices in songwriting and lyrics, they're definitely in a confident place, should we say?
Yes.
Yeah. Definitely balls swinging on this one.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely would say balls out, balls swinging, tongues are waggling, fireworks are shooting off, drum sets are rising. It's all it's all coming up, Kiss. I hear Cleveland. All that. Let's talk about the cover. I want to talk about the cover.
Yeah.
Danny. So Danny, what are your thoughts?
I think it's a good one. I think this is a good one. We've got again, it's very comic book like the last one. It's a different style to the last one, which I believe they returned to on our next studio album. But this one, I like the detail. I like that they've all got a different thing around them. Gene has fire. Ace has like comets, I guess. Paul's got his wings. I don't know what that's supposed to be. That Peter's got like hedgehog fire. I know it's trees. What is it?
Oh, is it trees? I thought it was like a halo, like some sort of like explosion behind him or something.
I thought it was like a panther like stalking through the bush or something.
Oh, that's a good call.
Maybe that.
Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah, maybe it is
you're
that.
Right. It's probably them. It's colourful, but it's still got a lot of black, so it's got a nice sort of contrast there. I think this is probably one of their better front covers. I'll give them that. You can see that they're able to pay artists and designers here to really come out with a good one. I don't know what do you think?
4 times in it as well, which is a benefit.
Yeah, 4 names. And any way that you turn the record in your hands, you'll be able to read the name.
Yeah, so
right?
if you want
the
Gene
right
on
way
top,
around at all 4
or if you
angles.
want Peter on top, yeah, you got
it.
I
you can
agree
display
with you.
it however you like.
Yeah. I agree with you, man. That with Kiss albums, I'm finding that I like it when they're not taking themselves too seriously. They can be a little serious, but I like it when it's a bit playful. That suits them better.
Yeah, like Dress to Kill.
Yeah, and also I like it when they're able to show off each individual persona, and like Danny was saying, like the little details to this, I really like. Alexei, I want you to talk about it, but also I want to know what you guys think about the name of the album, because to me this is a strange one. What the hell does rock and roll over mean? Like, it feels though there's something missing. There should be like rock and roll over life, rock and roll over. It feels incomplete.
I just thought it was a funny pun. I just thought like, people say rock and roll and people say roll over. So it's like you rock, then you roll over. They're rocking you so hard that you roll over.
Is that?
I'm not big on the album name.
Is that what it means? Is that what it means?
I don't know, man.
I did not clock that.
I think it's a pun on the term roll over, right? Rock and roll over.
And then what? Gene Simmons going to sit on you.
Roll over, baby.
Rock and
roll over. If the album was called Rock and Roll Over and then Gene Simmons sits on you.
In brackets, and then Gene Simmons sits on you. I hadn't thought about the name at all.
It's weird though, isn't it?
Like, I know you just brought up. I haven't thought about it. Yeah, it's a bit
weird.
Odd. It doesn't
because Alex. It sounds unfinished.
Yeah, it does.
I thought I misread it. The first time I read it, I thought it said rock and roll all over.
Yes, that would be better. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like it's missing a word.
Rock and roll over Gene. I don't know. Alexei, what do you think of this?
I think I think you've actually enlightened me to a lot of aspects of this cover that I hadn't actually thought of. Like when you said that you can actually, it doesn't matter what way you turn it, it still works compositionally as an album. I was like, oh yeah, it does. It's quite clever. It's quite clever. It's a bit like the opposite of Hotter Than Hell. I feel like with that cover, you could turn it upside down and it would make more sense than like how it's actually presented the right way up. Like it's that asymmetrical and horrible looking. But it's great. I think actually of all the covers, this is probably my favourite. I think actually, bar Hotter Than Hell, which I think even Alex said he liked, we've given the covers pretty much just positive reviews. But I think that's testament to their selling point. The great thing about them, or the best thing about them, is just the image. It's the image and the way that they present themselves. Because if you saw this, you'd be like, oh, that looks cool. If you're like 14 or something like that in the 70s or 12, like you would probably pick this up. You absolutely would. Yeah, this is probably my favourite of all the covers so far. There's a lot going on, but it's consistent. It doesn't seem cluttered. It's one that when you sort of sit with it, you'll find a lot of like nice little additions, which is cool. There's even a border. They even managed to pull off a border for the first time, and yeah, and I love the color composition as well. The design of each character has kind of like a Japanese manga sort of a vibe, which I think really makes their designs pop really, really well. I tell you what, it doesn't really represent, again, the music of the album very, very well. And I think but I think that's just a given. I think you just get that.
Yeah, I'll give it
with and again, it's them being good at marketing. You know what? You get them, you sucker them with the image and the makeup, then they just listen to how just underwhelming the music is. And, you know, and then that's it. I think
I'm past saying that it's about, I wish they were heavy. I just wish they were big. I wish they were bombastic. I wish they sounded like that cover. Yeah, it doesn't have to be metal.
In it, I think we were talking. I think we were talking about how, like, if Queen played God of Thunder, they could smash it.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Bring out the riffs. I think even if they sounded like Queen, it would be all right. Do you know what I mean? It would be okay. And I don't even really like Queen that much, but I still think it's still big and it's bombastic, and you know, and there's so much energy in it. Which kind of, to me, probably, I mean, which would explain why their albums stalled so much. Like, they would sell okay, they'd get to a certain amount, and then just start stalling. Because I think, you know, you'd see the album cover, get sucked in, listen to it, and just go like, oh, this is just kind of just boring and lifeless. Anyway, if I have one sort of criticism, it's that, like, Paul's facial expression, have you actually, like, looked at it? Like, Paul's facial expression on the cover, it's a bit kind of like middle-aged woman resting bitch face. I feel like there are times with Paul where they don't really know what to do with him on the front covers. Do you know what I mean? Like, at the beginning,
that's true, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they don't quite know, like, well, what's he really going for? What do we do with him? Do you know what I mean? Because Ace, it's easy, you just throw some stars in there, some Comets Genes, fire, Peter, a lion, a jungle, whatever. Paul, they're just kind of like, nah, well, we can't do the space thing, because that's Ace. What, if he just kind of looks really sort of like disapproving, you know, like kind of mildly irritating.
Usually he doesn't have to worry about the image compared to everyone else, but I think especially when they sort of cartoon him, you know, they kind of make him into a cartoon, so they always struggle to be like, well, what's his thing, kind of. Then he just gives a sort of pouty face.
I used to have like a figurine. I used to have like a bust of all their heads. I've still got them actually. They're on my record player, and I've got one of him. And like his is just like they have like little decorations like underneath, like on their like pedestals, and his is just like roses and thorns and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, that's not it, is it? Not really. I mean, anyway,
I don't remember that.
Yeah,
I remember those busts, but I don't remember.
Yes.
Whenever you hear Kiss talk about each persona, they're always like, and he's the star of the show. That's Paul. Like that's all they say, sort of thing.
Yeah, no. I think he sort of respects that to a certain degree. Okay. I don't really know, actually.
Oh, I think Gene's okay with it because he's got his own distinct thing. But he's like, I'm not the star, I'm the devil of the show.
Yeah.
I thought as a teenager, or kid even, whenever I first discovered them, that it was a bit like Gene just got the cool one. Like he instantly got like the cool heavy metal, he's the demon, and everyone else's wasn't as good. Now I'm older now. Yeah. I don't think that's the case, but as a pubescent 13-year-old, that's the way I felt. I thought especially Peter had the short straw.
Yeah, he's actually. Oh, I don't know. Actually, well, I mean,
he chose that. He's very proud of that.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, well, he said it was like he had a rough upbringing. He says so. He used like the cat thing as like 9 lives. So he had like 9 lives for all the scraps he'd been in and stuff like that. So he's trying to, even though like the story behind it's quite tough, he actually just kind of looks quite cute and sweet, particularly when he sings Beth. It's very, very adorable. But out of curiosity, whilst we're on the topic, where do we rate their makeups? Because I would argue I'd go Paul is probably at the bottom. Paul or Peter, one of them, probably Paul. I feel the theme isn't as strong. I'd put Paul at the bottom. Peter, Gene, and then I'd probably put Ace at the top. I think Ace, like, I agree. I mean, I was kind of with Danny when I was younger. It was Gene. But like as I get older, I'm kind of like, actually, nah, Ace. I think Ace is probably the coolest in my opinion. What do you guys think? Where would you put them?
I'm not so sure. Danny, you go first.
Yeah, I need time to think about it, man. Because I'm modelling up, nostalgia of what I thought in the past with now. If I was to really... And I'm only basing it off this cover that I'm staring at. And I feel like I've been staring at for 10 minutes now. I think Paul's at the bottom. Peter's grown on me. I agree, Alexei. It's cute. Especially when he's singing Beth. I don't mind. I still like Gene's just because, I like Arthur Brown and I like Alice Cooper, and his is the closest to those in design, I'd say. Oh man, I can't rank them yet. You got to leave it with me. I need to mull it out.
All right, we can come back to it. In fact, it might be something we can do when we do the solo albums. Actually, it might change.
Yeah.
We'll reevaluate when we get to the solo albums. Alex, do you want to comment, or do you want to wait till we get to solo albums?
I'm looking at the Dress to Kill album because that's just here to get a better look at it. I'm gonna put Peter at the bottom. It is cute, but I don't think it works. I don't like the blocky whiskers. And I think it looks a bit awkward.
Yeah, I agree.
Gene, I do think Gene goes at the top, and it suits his weird face very well. It all comes together. And then I can't really decide between Ace and Paul. I think Ace has the cooler makeup, but Paul had I think there's something. He pulls it off, I think, better than Ace. Paul pulls off his makeup better than Ace pulls his off. And I don't know if that's facial expressions or something. So I'm going to go.
I think that's probably true.
Peter, Ace, Paul, Gene. For me.
I feel Paul's more pouty though. I feel Paul's more pouty. Ace is more ethereal. That's the vibe I get. Okay. If we talk about facial expressions.
The artist got Ace's vibe right on this album. The sort of gormless, mouth wide open.
Yeah, lasers coming out of his eyes at the same time. That's exactly. So I was oh, it's just I feel like Gene. The best thing about the most amazing thing about Gene's makeup is the effect it has on his nose. Because you see him without makeup, his nose is quite buttoned and squashed and quite small. And as soon as the makeup goes on, it turns into like a beak. And I never understood how he manages to do that. It's like an illusion. It's fantastic.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing how he does that. Because his nose is not like that. What was that, sorry?
I also like the widow's peak thing as well, where it's the hair comes down in a V. Like,
yeah. He has a little samurai bun, doesn't he?
I do think, again, I don't know how long we want to spend on this. Sorry, I'll say one more thing.
I'm not gonna lie, it's probably longer than we'll spend on the album, but go on.
All of those, is it black metal, the ones who paint their faces? Bands.
Yeah, Corpse Paint.
They are more influenced by Gene than the other members. I don't think they're looking at Paul and being like, we want that. I think they were all looking at Gene and saying we want that. Let's talk about the fucking music production.
Absolutely. No, I don't want to do that.
let's attempt to talk about the music. I want you. So this album, after Destroyer, we've had the experimentation of Destroyer, and we start with this acoustic guitar opening, and it's a little folky, it's a little ballady, and he's doing his little the one thing I want, or what, I forget the melody. And then that's it. And then we get the switch. It's bait and switch, and we get straight back into, I'm afraid, the same old shit. So at first, the switch for me was a bit disappointing.
Absolutely.
The switch into the I want you. I was like, oh, here we go. I will say that as the song went on, and especially on with more listens, I did feel like actually the switch becomes the most interesting part of the song. It's actually still my favorite part, especially when they come back to it throughout the song. Just because it's something else. It's something else. We get a different instrument, a different style for a few seconds. As always, I feel like, we need to start finding more stuff to say here because his vocals are on it. Lovely vocals from Paul. I feel like he's exploring rasp more as we go on, which I love. Him hitting those high notes with rasp is fantastic. I love it. I'm afraid, but it sounds unfinished. The production is, I can compare it to the first albums, and the production is better. Eddie Kramer is doing a better job with them than, what we had on Hotter Than Hell and stuff like that, but it's still not. I mean, I'm glad you brought up the drums earlier, Alexei, because I think it probably does a lot of it come down to that. When it's not punching, but it is more the song than the production and the mix. It's just the same old shit. That's what I wrote. The vocals rock, but that's it. I've got nothing else to grab onto with this song. What do you think, Alex?
For the most part, I agree. When I saw that they went back to the producer of Alive, and I first heard this song, I thought, it makes sense. Like, they're kind of trying to once again recreate that live sound that they go on about. I had the exact same feeling as you, like, from the brief intro. As soon as they go back into those familiar riffs, it was disappointing. I kind of wish they played around with those different tones a bit more, but it's always just sort of like they don't really care about the kind of acoustic guitar part. I do think, though, that this is one of the better songs on the album. I do quite like the playfulness. It does sound like a B-side, just in terms of lyrics and riff. I don't hate it too much. I think they do a cool, like, kind of two guitared solo thing, which I quite liked. That has like some cool textures to it. But just sort of a bit nothingy. Just oh baby, 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 I want you. It's just so like I don't think they spend much time writing this. I think we're going to talk about the drums a lot in this album. I think each song has like a weird drum part, and on this they sort of do. I think they've done it in the past where like when Peter's doing a fill, it's like da 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 da. There's like a weird panning effect, or like there's this weird zooming effect on the drums.
It's like phasing or something. Is it a flange?
It's like a phase. Sorry, not a flange.
It never sounds good, and I don't know if that's like us doing it now on like modern earphones or speakers, but it never sounds. I guess it was cool. It always sounds like something's breaking.
It's very 70s, like very 70s.
You would never do that now, or you would maybe as a very obvious effect, maybe. I think.
and that's all I've really got on it. Yeah.
Yes.
Not awful, but like just we've heard every part of this song before. Every part of the track. Alexei, give us something, please.
I think, I think we're all pretty much unanimously in agreement. I think a point that I probably will labour a little bit more is actually I'll get onto that in a second. But I think before that, I'd say that the intro. I think Peter should have sung the intro. I think it would have worked a lot better. I just don't like when Paul sings over acoustic guitars. I just think it sounds rubbish, and you can hear that more later on as well. I just don't think it sits very well in the music. After the intro, after the acoustic intro, and you get the sort of like, I guess it's the build. I guess you call it a build up, or the transition, basically, when it's just the guitar and the bass, right? Going the first thing that came into my head was like, oh my god, it's amateur hour again. Like it's just a massive step back, a huge step back. Like it's just enormous. I mean that's the point I would like to labour. Really, is just like because I messaged you guys saying I think you should listen to this as close as you can to listening to Destroyer, so you could properly A/B it, and the step back in quality on every single front is quite staggering. I think that like it's the production is worse, the playing is stiff, the plot isn't as bad as it used to be, but it's still very, very, very bad. The guitar solo is so lazy. Like I wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't just completely fucked when he was recording it. It would make perfect sense. Again, the guitar tone is incredibly underwhelming. There's no attack. It feels flat. The whole song feels completely lifeless. Again, the intro to me is pretty pointless. It's not as pointless as Rock Bottom, but it's still pretty pointless to me. I don't think it really adds much. Again, the lyrics are a step backwards. The playing is a step backwards. Gene, again, they're back again with Gene's just horrible backing vocals that just suck the life out of everything. Like, just completely stop the track dead. Again, like you were saying, like the turnaround after the second refrain of the acoustic part is just really underwhelming. It's really of its time. For me, like you guys were saying, like there's nothing on here that we haven't heard before. It's the same problems, the same songwriting techniques. It could fit very, very happily and very, very comfortably on the first 3 albums, and I think that's something that is for me more of an overall criticism that I'll get into later. But I think that my main takeaway from this, and again, it's something that's gonna, contribute towards my feelings towards the whole album, is just like the shadow of Bob Ezrin is pretty large. But yeah, no, didn't. I mean, it's just an underwhelming Kiss song. That's it.
Yep. Anyway. Next is
Danny.
Take Me.
Danny, take me. Take me.
Okay. Well, I'll see what I can do.
Keep going, buddy. You got this.
It's nice to have Paul back to back. I'm always for that. If we get 2 Paul songs back to back, I'm happy. There is so little to say about this song. I wrote multiple times in my notes, man, I'm struggling to have anything to say about this album so far. They write songs as if AI was writing their songs. Just take me anywhere you want to be. It's just, the song just ran through each time I listened to it. I could not think. There was no points at which I was like, oh, I'll make a note of that. Or I've got to remember to say that. I mean, I could talk about lyrics or rhyming things like hand in my pocket, grab my rocket. Yeah, that's Gene worthy. Paul, come on, Paul. Come on, Paul. Yeah, just it's so dry, and it's got this weird little like echo on the backing vocals. It's just way too noticeable. We need some reverb or some overdubs. It needs to be thicker. It's so thin. But even it's all old stuff I've said before to do with their other stuff. And if we're gonna write a song that is gonna rock me, which I think this song is supposed to do, I need more than this in both the writing, the production, and the performance. So I'm afraid nothing else to say on that. Alex, anything else?
Oh boy. Yeah, like this is already in the second. When I was first listening to this, when we got into the second track, you're already going, "Oh well, I hope this isn't a whole album," sort of thing. Because this is not a great start. The beginning riff to this song, I just want to call it like an anti-riff, because usually like, you know, a good guitar riff, it sort of like gets you going, gets your body moving, and you sort of rock along to it. But like this one, it's just so like rigid and like that you really can't move to it. It does grow as the song goes on. I think the outro for this song is it finally gets to an okay point. But this is, yeah, I mean, with the lyrics of all this album, I totally believe that like this was like the peak of like them just having sex with as many girls as possible, because all the lyrics are just the most just all about girls wanting to fuck them and them not caring, and it's just the most obvious innuendos and just the lamest metaphors.
Yeah.
Just like the pocket and rocket, like Danny's already said. Yeah, the chorus, like I kind of like they're trying like that kind of high end harmony thing that take me, but it doesn't quite work. It needs like a rewrite. Yeah, and this, as I'm pretty certain every song on this album's got, it's same thing where it's verse, chorus, and then like a really long outro. And these songs are not worthy of like each one of them having such a long outro to go on. These riffs are not good enough, and the choruses are not good enough. You've got me wondering, Alex. Does every song on this album end with a fade, like a fade out? This is what I'm saying. I think nearly all of them. Nearly. I'll have to like re-listen to it, but I'm almost certain, if not like all of them, most of them end on a fade out. Yeah. Which going off Destroyer, like I think we can agree or disagree, but they Bob Ezrin tried different stuff with like segueing and like doing hard cuts between songs. Like there was variety in the track listing and how they did stuff, but this one had none of it. But on this song in particular, I'm done. Alexei, good luck.
Fine, yeah, thanks, man. I'm gonna need it. Yeah, I can't. Again, it's just the same. I gotta blow my nose. My nose is fucked. Hang on, give me a second.
Alexei, you've got a hard job. Yeah. If you're going to be talking last out of the three of us with this album, that is really hard.
Shit.
We get.
Okay, so yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't know whether we'll keep the same. Well, let's just keep it. Well, basically, you raise a good point where I do have, you know, a tough job, because really they haven't moved an inch. They haven't moved an inch in 5 albums. I mean, Bar Destroyer. Destroyer is obviously, you know, it's a lot lusher. There's a lot of different instrumentation on it. There's a lot of different experimentation on it. It's quite textured. You know what I mean? There is sort of overall, you know, it's not a concept album, but there is definitely a theme to it. There's a vibe. Like, but bar that, they just haven't moved. They have not moved. Like, this song for me has pretty much the same issues as the previous song, you know, in terms of the playing and the production and everything like that. And I'm not going to go over that again. I'm just not. It's the same criticisms every single track. the stiff playing, the poor production, the lack of punch. It's just the same. It's the same shit over and over and over and over again. And it's becoming unbelievably difficult. Unbelievably difficult. And it gets worse as the album goes on. Just the 50s grooves, the nonsensical, rubbish, sexist lyrics. Like, it's just it's the same shit again and again and again. The only things I will say about this song, the falsetto, delayed backing vocals, you know, the "take me" kind of to me, feels that like maybe they've sort of tried to retain a bit of that experimentation that they got off Destroyer. The only other interesting thing I can say about it is when I was listening to it through my speakers, my partner said, "Is he saying rape me?" And I said, "No, he isn't." And then when the chorus came back round again, she said, "Are you sure he's not saying rape me?" And I said, "No, he definitely isn't saying rape me." But also the other thing that's only really worth mentioning is the vocals in the verse feel like he's just a very, very rambling. They're very rambling and very tuneless. It's something that he's done before. Like it's something like in Room Service. It's a lot of like just like really like rambling and meandering and without any real like melody to really hook onto. It's almost like rap, bordering on rap. but not rhythmic. Not rhythmic, just kind of just an endless kind of churn out of words like just boring, rubbish, same shit, move on.
Alright. So we got Callin Doctor Love. Now this is one of 2 tracks I already knew going into this album.
Same. This is probably worth noting. This is one of 2 singles as well, which are the 2 songs you're referring to. So this and Hard Luck Woman are the 2 singles released off this record.
Oh, that makes sense. I feel I'm anticipating maybe a slight disagreement here between us, but not a passionate one. I think this one's alright.
Can I make one point here? This is probably worth knowing. This is very much a fan favourite. This is very much a Gene song, as in like sort of like the Gene concert favourites. You know, your God of Thunders, you love it, I Love It Loud, and your Doctor Love. This is very much like a concert staple of theirs. So you know, it's worth some time. Anyway, sorry, carry on. What were you saying?
Well, no, I'll go off that, Alexei. I think so far this is my favourite Gene song. Maybe I need to go back and have a look. This might be my favourite Gene song yet. I think Sweet Pain has a better chorus. The Sweet Pain, but I don't think it's that controversial because we're not pulling from an incredibly amazing pool of material, and I think this suits him. This is as close to that sort of pure, grassroots rock and roll that they claim to be champions of, in contrast to all of their corporatism. This is very simple, but I like the chord structure. It's a very common chord structure, but it's a good one. I think it's one of the few examples where I don't feel like, God, why isn't this song faster? Why is it so slow? Because it is slow, but I think it works in a sort of, it's like All Right Now by Free, makes me think of.
Okay.
Just that very slow rock chords.
Yeah. Welcome, clap your hands.
Yeah, it is very similar. It might even be the same chords, I didn't check, as a song the 3 of us wrote when we were teenagers called Firetop Mountain. It is almost the same chord structure, if not the same. And performed quite similarly.
It's also the it's ballad of ballad of Dwight Fry. It's EGDA.
Is it? Okay. There you go.
Yeah, same chord pattern.
I think really just comes down to, in this really simple way, note choices. I just think this is excuse me. I think it comes down to note choices. This is just slightly better in terms of, melody and chord structure, and I think it's a bit catchier. I could overpraise it for sure, but yeah, I mean, it goes on a bit, but again, when you're on a winner, like, I think they knew this is one of the better songs on this album. It's marginally less womanizing, which, again, for Gene, I'll take that. It's pretty womanizing, but look at what we're up against. His other songs. He does use the word love a lot, which is nice to hear. And lastly, I like the solo. I think it's one of the best solos we've had in ages. Because that's been lacking. Yeah, compared to... We had some real good ones in the first few albums, but I like that that he does. And it's produced better as well, the solo. It sits much nicer in the mix. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe you guys just think it's the same as the rest. Yeah, what do you think, Alex?
I don't think I like it as much as you do, but I certainly see... This is one of the songs that stuck with me more. On the album, and I can see how it would be a fan favorite in terms of like a live one, because it's really simple. There's like space for it to get bigger and bigger, and I can there's easy crowd work in there. You know what I mean? Like there's easy chanting back and forth. And the one thing I do really like about this song is Gene is really going for it. I don't think he's phoning it in on this one. He's trying different stuff. Some of it works and some of it doesn't work. Some of his ad-libs are kind of strange. But you can hear in his voice that he really likes this song, and he's really kind of proud of it, and he's going for it.
Yes.
I kind of wish someone was a bit more sort of charisma was singing it, but I think you're right, Danny. We'll take what we can get. Yeah, and I think kind of very childish writing and sort of subject matter is it fits Gene's kind of style in a way. Yeah, I don't have much to say on this one other than that. It does grow to me, especially I think this is the best. Yeah, we had the best guitar solo, and also I think this might be the best outro. As I said, there's a lot of fading outros in this album, and I think this one works the most, where you could see it going on longer, and it wouldn't be a problem. Alexei?
Right, okay. So, instrumentally, I actually quite like it. I think it's got a good groove. I think it's got a good groove. It's got a bit of swagger. It's stiff, but that's pretty unavoidable at this point. I also actually I quite like the spoken word bit, the sort of spoken word, the Callin Doctor Love, whatever that is.
Yeah, what is that? I thought it was like a guest.
I don't know what that is. Yeah. I don't know what that is, but I do quite like it. Again, I think that it's some of that experimentation. There's sprinklings of it there, and I think that's a good example of it. The bass tone is fantastic. The bass tone is, for the time as well, it's really crunchy. It's really mean. It's really fat. It's great. Really meaty. Also, the guitar solo is, I think is ace at its best. I think it's really well paced. I think there's a lot of peaks and troughs in it as well. He builds it in all the right places. There's also a lot of shreddier moments. It's scratchy and a little bit crude, but I like that about his playing. So, I'm happy with that. It's also quite soulful in places as well, and very, very melodic. I think of all the solos we've had from him, I think this is probably his best of the
could be
the five studio albums. Yeah, I struggle to think of one that's better. Maybe as well because when he plays on previous songs, they haven't been songs that instrumentally I haven't really liked that much, or the riffs haven't been great, but his solo is always quite good and it lifts it, whereas this is a great combination of he's got a good groove behind him and he's also playing a great guitar solo at the same time, so I
think it comes down to that. A lot of it is because often a solo is only as good as its rhythm section, And I think often they've written songs that actually don't lend themselves very well to his sort of playing, maybe. I might have to think about that more, but do you know what I mean? Like, often it's these riffs. They're too busy to have solos behind them. We've kind of got this kind of and then that's hard to solo over, but when it's just that works a lot better, I think, for his sort of playing. It gives him space. I think you said space, Alexei. I think I agree. Yeah.
It gives him a lot of space, which is nice, and it complements the solo like pretty perfectly. I mean, in terms of guitar solos, it's pretty fucking brilliant. It's pretty great, and also the drum breaks are really simple, but they're quite good.
Yeah,
they're quite good. The drum breaks are simple, but they're effective. Again, they serve the song. They serve the song well. However, I don't actually like this song at all. I think it's horrendous. And it just comes down to one thing. I mean, this is one of my least favorites on the album, probably my second least favorite. And it just comes down to one thing, and it just comes down to literally one thing, which is it's just Gene. Gene is he sings it like a crusty old man. The lyrics are just grotesque, fucking horrible and grotesque and disgusting. That in combination with the idea that he's trying to like present himself as like a Casanova type character just feels really, really wrong and gross and
me and Alex can't respond to that. I can't be like, nah.
No, I'm not being funny, but like, I cannot let it pass.
It's difficult to say.
So, like,
the cure is
it's so
a kiss.
It's so like gross and self-aggrandizing that it just ruins the whole track from start to finish.
Fair.
Like if Prince had sung it, fine. Marvin Gaye, fine, maybe, but not Gene Simmons. Just not Gene Simmons. Like John Prescott would have pulled it off better than Gene Simmons does. I mean, he's trying to sound sexy, and he just needs to back the fuck off and get away from me. To be honest, like I'll talk. I mean, I'll talk about this maybe a bit more later, but obviously he would quite like my outrage and disgust, because he would maybe see it as like button pushing, but it's not really the kind of outrage and disgust that he wants. Like, it's not kind of like, oh, Gene, you're outrageous, like that. It's kind of more like, it's kind of like how you'd react to a flasher, or like someone hiding in the like someone hiding in the cistern of a portaloo, staring at you like as you have a poo. It's just go away. Get away from me.
Yeah, it's super childish.
I really don't like it. I can't, which is a shame, because musically it's kind of a jam. It's just I just can't. No, you're only as strong as your weakest mate. And he sings it horribly. He sings it horribly as well, like a crusty.
I don't know, man. I'd take this over the bored Gene we got on some of the other albums. Personally, even though the growls are really a bit much, but at least it's a bit more interesting.
Actually, oddly enough, it's not his worst performance on this album. To be honest, vocally, it's not, and it's not as bad as Great Expectations. But on this album, it's my second to least, probably my second to least favorite, just because of that. I'm sorry, you can't have him calling himself Dr. Love and getting away with it. You just can't. I cannot let that pass. I cannot let the way that he describes himself on this song pass. Is so wrong. No.
Well, we got another Simmons song coming up next. So.
But also at the same time, sorry, just one more point. At the same time, all your points about the music, I totally agree with. I'm totally on board with.
Yeah.
But
Well, again, I'm not gonna stand up and defend his his status as a sex icon. I'm not.
you can't do it. Anyway, next, another Gene. Danny, what do you think?
We got Ladies' Room. I think. I mean, maybe I'll take a bit of Alexei's energy for the last song on this one. I mean, what the fuck is this? These lyrics are just so creepy. And if it wasn't so boring, this would be one of the worst songs we've had yet. But it's the same old shit musically that I just can't even.
So lazy.
Yeah, it's just not even memorable enough for me to criticize enough. Really, I think
you're really fucking me going last with this one. Like, I swear to God, it's just nothing in it. Sorry, carry on.
Well, I just don't like anything. I don't like the chord structure, I don't like the melody, I don't like the tone, I don't like the rhythm or the performances, anything. I've got nothing to grab onto with this. It's such a boring chorus with the "for my money, you can't be too soon."
What does that mean? What does that mean in the context of this song? For my money, you can't be here too soon. I don't know.
What's he trying to say with that?
It's so creepy. It's so... I mean, they're consistent with these themes in their music. We've been saying this from the first album, but they're really going for it, especially Gene. Ladies' Room, it's horrible. I mean, the only other thing I've written is "the cowbell makes its mighty return." That's all I've got to say about this. Alex, what do you think?
Cowbell? Is there a cowbell in it? Is there a cowbell in it?
Man.
The thing, something I want to pick up on that you said was, you're talking about them like really doubling down on these themes, but these aren't working. You had 3 albums that did not do very well.
Yeah.
At all. This sound, these themes, this kind of this vibe that you're going for, it doesn't work. Why are you so obsessed with ramming it down people's throats when it does not work? It's been seen not to work. It's tiring. It's fatiguing. You know, it causes ear fatigue.
Yeah, I think that's why all 3 of us defend Destroyer more than their other albums, with all of its fucking bombs on that album and the real low moments. It's just nice to hear them try something, to take risks. They're not taking risks with this album. It's a stubborn album. It's stubborn.
No, it's the same shit.
Alex,
shit
sorry.
Again.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for saving me on this one. Yeah, same. This one is barely a song. Like it's really like a first draft of like an idea, and it is typified with the lyrics in just you say you like to dance. I think I'll take a chance. Ooh, baby, maybe it's time for romance. Like, I mean, and that it's just that all the way through. It's so lame. And I'm gonna go back to, I don't get what it's even on about. Meet you in the ladies' room. For my money, you can't be too soon. But from what he's talking about before, he's the one approaching her, and then there's money involved. It really doesn't make any sense.
You can't be too soon.
It's too late for you to get away, and you've got to believe me when I say. I mean, it's so creepy, it's so rapey. Just the idea of like him going to the ladies' room, it's really putting off. There's
also the idea that he would wander in and no one would question it. He would just wander in and all these women like, who the fuck is that? Ladies.
Really not much saying. It's such a bad chorus. Meet you in the ladies' room. Oh my god. Alexei, go on.
I just put it's rubbish. It sounds like a B-side from Dress to Kill. I feel this would be most at home on Dress to Kill. Gene just sings it,
and we get another fade out outro on here, just so we're keeping tabs. This song, they felt so deserved.
They all
are.
Outro. At least up until this point, they've all been.
Yeah.
They've all been fade outs. Gene sings it very, very badly. It's incredibly lazy. it's got the stiffness of their stuff prior to Dress to Kill, where I felt the stiffness had gone a little bit. There was a bit more chemistry. That seems back, even though it sounds like something that would be on Dress to Kill. It's stiffer. It's kind of like sits somewhere between Hotter Than Hell and Dress to Kill. Also, the 50s grooves are just really grating on me. You know, like it's frustrating, like how little I can talk about it, because it's just and that in itself, like, is just incredibly frustrating, because there's just nothing to say about it. It's rubbish, really rubbish. Anyway, moving on.
Baby Driver. All right, so we got some Peter, and again, a lot of old themes coming up. I would say, as like many Peter songs, his vocals are above the track itself in terms of quality. He is belting his little heart out, and I'm just not feeling the track very much. It's heavier, it's a little heavier, got some minor key stuff going on, but it's just not a memorable song for me. And it's just not good enough. I don't think it's giving me a little bit more. Get a little heavy. But I just think the chorus is nothing. The "Go Baby Driver." Everything about this track except the vocals for me sound lazy. They just sound like they weren't putting in much effort. Again, they're relying on old tricks of these riffs that they come up with. And it sort of juxtaposes against Peter screaming over the top of it impressively, but I do feel a little reminiscent of when me and Alexei disagreed on Black Diamond on Alive. Well, I just thought he was getting a bit too overexcited, and I'm not just talking about the "got you under my thumb." I'm talking about just he's belting too hard and screaming too hard, and I feel when I hear this track, I don't think he's feeling it. I don't think his heart was really in this song. I think that now props to him for still going for it, for not letting that stop him. But to me, it comes across as inauthentic. It comes across as he's just switching on the soul to try and just kind of, "Oh, baby driver!" And the song's not there. So again, like many Peter songs, impressive vocally, but I'm not feeling it at all. Alex?
Yeah, it's a welcome addition on the album, because after having the 4 songs just have, like, immediately, something different, and sort of with his songs, I feel as though there's a bit of a messier sound with the guitars and the vocals, which I quite like. And his rock scream is good. It's really good, and again, it's a welcome addition. I completely agree with Danny, especially on the outro for this song. He goes too much. He's really wailing, and it's just too much. It takes away from with his songs. He adds there's a coolness to his voice, or the way he sings, like that kind of soulful sound, and I think when he tries too hard like that, it takes away from what makes him special. But yeah, I think you're right. The song itself has really not much to it. Once again, lyrically, there's nothing to grab hold onto, or the guitar work. But on the album, it's one of the better tracks. Just it's different, and there's one or two good screams in there. Alexei?
I like this. I like this. This is my favourite song off. This is my favourite song off the album.
Wow!
I like it. Peter,
suck his dick. Why don't you like stuff?
I think Peter is refreshing, particularly after we've had Gene's fucking monotone for 2 songs. I think he's refreshing. I think he's having a lot of fun. He's being cheeky. He's really giving himself to the track. It's got a good swagger to it. It reminds me a little bit of a heavier version of the Eagles, or also ZZ Top. It's got sort of ZZ Top sort of vibe.
ZZ Top checks out. Yeah, I can hear that.
Yeah, and I quite like that. I love the hook. I just like the hook. The "Go Baby Driver." I just like it. It feels like It feels like finally in the album there's just a bit of life. You know what I mean? Like there's just a bit of exuberance in the record. It's got a very kind of driving, slinky beat to it. However, again, a similar criticism to a lot of songs like this and Mainline and stuff like that, where it's like it probably shouldn't be on a Kiss record, and also they probably should have cut it a bit earlier, because Peter is like just starts to kind of fray at the seams a little bit. It's not great. Like, to be honest with you, I won't defend it that much. I probably like it.
No, I hear
it's
what you're
not that
saying.
good.
But I like sort
it.
of a live experience that you're talking, like the song feeling more alive. That's kind of how I felt a bit with Callin Doctor Love from Gene, even though it's not the best.
Yeah.
I just like that hearing them have a bit more energy. Peter does on this as well.
I just think after the rest of it's just been so lifeless and dull that this actually feels like, that I'm actually, actually listening to a band. Do you know what I mean? Like, I like it. I think it's cool. It's definitely cool. Anyway, love him, leave him. Danny, what do you?
Move on to the next one. Oh, hello.
Oh no, Danny, please.
Hello.
You gotta tell us what you think.
Have we lost Danny?
It's not that bad, Danny. It's not that bad.
I mean, it is. It's absolutely awful.
Yeah, hold on.
If this is the one I'm thinking of, is it the one I'm thinking of?
Yeah, just so. You know where it is? Yes, I think it is the one you're thinking of. Hello.
Hey, I'm back. Sorry.
Hey. Yeah, that's alright. We just came to you. We were just about to love him or leave him. So.
Oh, okay.
You can take it off whenever you're ready.
I'll reintroduce you. But next, love him, leave him. Danny, what are your thoughts?
Okay, love him and leave him. The chorus goes on and on and on. This is nothing, Alex.
No. Okay. No, I'm going to disagree that this is nothing, because this is one of the songs on the album that is actually really, really awful. Like, it's actually amazing how boring they made this.
This is absolutely dreadful.
Fair enough.
The intro. I mean, I feel as though every album's got to have that really awkward drum moment from Chris, particularly with intros. This is that. Then the first verse, I don't know what Gene is doing. He's doing some weird free poetry thing. None of it's rhyming, and he's kind of just. He goes on for way longer than he usually does in verses. It goes nowhere. It makes no sense. Bizarre. And the growls. I know in Callin Doctor Love I was kind of saying that I kind of like the energy, and you can tell he's really into it. But this one, it's so forced, everything he's doing. And so, they could have done another take on some of these, like the "How do you do?" It sounds so bad. The chorus, like you're saying, just goes on forever. There's nothing to it. Love her, leave her.
It's not just that it's not just that it's repetitive. It's the obnoxiousness of how it's done.
My last note on this song.
For ages and ages and ages, you just want to go, shut the fuck up.
my last note on this song was, where did they get the confidence from for this song? Like, I don't know how they could have listened to this, be like, well, yeah, that's it, done. Especially, this is actually one of the longer tracks on the album, right? I mean, all the songs are quite long, around 3 minutes, 20 seconds or so, more or less. And this one's nearing 4 minutes. And where did they think that was a good idea? It just goes on and on and on with nothing to say. And just like... Lexi, go on.
This is my least favourite, without a shadow of a doubt. I think the sort of the flasher peeping Tom and a sister like analogy is very, very apt, but it's worse, I'd say, in terms of the lyrics. This is Gene's worst vocal performance by a country mile. The lyrics sound like a teenager trying to improvise a lie about how they've lost their virginity. I fucking hate it. Absolutely hate it. Nothing. It's awful. It's so bad. Again, the chorus just goes on and on and on, and it's so obnoxious as well. Like, just the way it's sort of yelled at you. I hate this. Moving on. Fucking awful. Do you think this deserves to go in the bin?
I think it's in the bin.
Do you think this deserves to go in the bin? Because we were saying we were going to have a Kiss bin, right? So at the minute in the Kiss bin, I'd say it's Great Expectations. Okay, this is going in the bin. Yeah, this could fucking go in the bin. Awful.
Nothing.
What's in the bin? We've got Great Expectations. Is God of Thunder in the bin? No, Going Blind's in the bin. Going Blind's in the bin. Alright, so Going Blind, Great Expectation, and this.
Some of the first album, like, I don't know what it's called.
Oh, Love Theme. Love Theme from Kiss.
Kiss and Time and stuff.
we can go back and talk about this later. But yeah,
we'll do it in a bit. We'll put a list together. Anyway, Mr. Speed, Danny.
Mr. Speed. We're getting some, like... I was struggling to think of how to describe it. I called them major key ballad chords. Like the time. It does that 6-5-4 movement that's very common and becomes more common in pop music. And I sort of think that if they refuse to commit to writing more Black Diamonds and, legitimately cool, heavy songs, they should stick to this sort of song. Drop the boogie woogie notes and stick to this. Because this is not an amazing song, but I just feel that fits them much better than the type of... There's blues notes, and I'll talk more about that when we wrap up. I like blues notes. Some of my best friends are blues notes, but they do not pull them off here, and it doesn't suit the sort of music that they're trying to make. And we have less of that here, which is good. It comes back during the solo, sadly. The solo felt a bit like kind of two songs in one. I don't know. There's something weird about the guitar line. I quite liked the sort of quite busy, leadish sounding rhythm guitar that runs throughout. There's a bit more to this one. I wrote, God, I think this is one of my favorites on the album. Like, I'm not happy about that, but I think it is because I'm so disappointed by so much of this album.
Lads, I need to have a wee. So I'm gonna go have a wee. Alex, if you just keep talking about it, because again, I ain't really got much to say about this one. I'll come back and join us. All right.
Okay. All right.
I've got.
Okay.
I've got.
No worries.
Go
all right, I'll see.
I'll go to tangent.
Yeah. You go on your tangent.
Man.
I'll be back in a second. All right.
Yep.
Bye.
I notice that I talk about tonality too much. Maybe when I talk about that music, and I mean tonality in the music theory sense. I mean major key, minor key. But I think it's it's a big part of their shortcomings, if I'm honest. I can feel like they fear to sound too dark. Every time they land on a good riff, they don't want to take that too far. Likewise, every time they write a party and chorus,
comes from though? Like
I've analysed it a bit.
Do you think
in
it comes
my
from
head,
like Paul singing? Okay.
I think it's to do with they write this cool heavy riff, but they don't want to alienate the party crowd. The hits, they still want to hit, so they add this little major key section that just doesn't fit with the cool heavy riff. And likewise, they'll give us a big epic cool party chorus that will then often, very often, be brought way too far down when the verse comes back with a plodding, moody sounding riff that they want to incorporate to kind of, because they don't want to sound too, they don't want to be sellouts. They're a grassroots rock band. So we still have these heavy minor key riffs. And to me, what I hear a lot is the major key, minor key thing going on. It is more than that. It is more than that. It's to do with mood as well. The songs aren't consistent with their mood often. And it all comes back to the image thing that we always talk about, where there's this conflict of what they're trying to sound like. Are they trying to sound like this cool heavy band, or are they trying to sound like a fun party band? I believe there is, a way to bring those together and do both. And I think when they're at their best, it's when they are doing both. I think 100,000 years is that. We're getting a bit of both. Go on, Alex.
We've also kind of said that we feel that they're scared to experiment, so they've really haven't given themselves a chance to go in that darker direction that you're saying, because they go back to what they know so often in what they write about and the structure to the song. I mean, this album is definitely is that.
And also
interesting idea. Okay.
With major key, minor key, it can be either or. You can modulate it if you do it well, or you can modulate subtly and interestingly and experimentally, and that's great. I mean, blues and rock and roll is built on layering, the minor scale over major progressions and kind of mixing the two together. So I don't want to say they need to be writing songs in a minor key or a major key or whatever. It just comes down to them trying to do too much in one song often without any experimentation. If they were experimenting and having fun with this, I think it would be much better, but it always comes across to me as just self-consciousness. They feel self-conscious about writing a song that's too cheesy, so they throw in some plot, or they feel self-conscious to probably the executives when they write something that's too heavy, so they write some cheesy moment with this major key bridge or something that just doesn't fit. I think they're trying to have it both ways often, but without giving it the thought or the experimentation that it requires. I think that's probably why we like Destroyer so much. There was moments more of this experimentation. I'm not against it all out of principle. Have fun with it, and also, I'm oversimplifying it because of course there's pop bangers in a minor key, and there's cool heavy metal in a major key. Despacito is in a minor key. Dragon Force, right, almost entirely in a major key. Can happen. I just think so I'm wrong. It's more than tonality, but to me that's so often what comes out to me. It just comes down to a poor note choice to me often. They're not thinking about it.
But you're definitely right.
It's about vibe.
They just go back and forth between these vibes, and they just end up not getting the best of either one. And I don't know if that's like you're saying, it is just completely self-consciousness, or is it an element of they're trying to get everybody in as a songwriter, so they're going, we need to have so many Gene songs, we need to have so many Paul songs, and it needs to get Ace in here, and they just don't gel together well enough where they push each other. You know what I mean? They don't. By having so many writers, I know it's not that many.
It's also the blues notes too. Oh yeah, go on, Alexei.
No, I was just going to say, I came in halfway through this. I haven't got a fucking clue what either of you are talking about, but sounds interesting.
Basically, I was just talking about the problem. I mentioned major key and minor keys a lot with them, and I wanted to clarify that I'm not. I hope I don't come across snobbish and they changed to a major key when it's a minor key song. That works in amazing ways in loads of examples. But it's just with them, I always feel like it's self-consciousness. I was saying it to Alex. I won't say all of that again.
It's a bit of a round peg. It's a bit of a round peg in a square hole.
Like sometimes. What you often say. Yeah, it also comes down to those blues notes. Just the bluesy 50s rock and roll sounding. Sounds so cheesy to someone our age. No, I think that's because it is the 70s. Maybe this is the moment I'll give them okay, it's just dated, because I think that we're still, I guess, young enough to, this rock and roll for those notes to still sound cool to them. To us, blues notes can be great, but they often sound cheesy to people our age, I think. A major 7th chord is a cheesy sound. I don't know if you can hear that.
I think as well that when they do move to a major, I feel that when they do change to either a major key or a minor key, I just think that they're just not strong songwriters a lot of the time. So when they do it, it's just not very well placed, or it's not a particularly good change because they haven't.
Right, that's what I'm saying. You can change crazy well. You could be Mr. Bungle and just completely change the song, and if you make it work, you make it work. But they're not.
Yeah, it's not what they're going for, is it? You know what I mean?
No.
It's a hard one to do though. I've always said that the Crazy Train by Ozzy Osbourne. The verses of that song is the verse of that song is just terrible. You never meet anyone when they talk about what makes that song great. They're like the riff, the chorus, the intro. It is not the verse. But that's the thing. It just goes major. I don't know why. Why did they? What was the logic? You got this awesome riff. Anyway, we're not here to talk about that.
I'm sorry,
Alex.
I'll conclude Mr. Speed by saying they do major key better when they drop the rock and roll bluesy boogie woogie notes and stick to some proper rock sounding ballady sort of chord structures like the 6/5/4 that we get here. Alex.
Yeah, shtick. Do you like this one then? Is that one that you like? Mr. Speed.
You know what I mean. On this album, yes.
Right.
On this record.
I'm
glad
you guys have a lot to say about this because this was one I was struggling. I was really struggling to think of something to say for this one. I think it's just fine. The guitar line is kind of irritating. I'm not sure if that's just the riff itself or so where it is in the mixing, but I think it's kind of funny them Paul writing a song about leaving women crying in the bedroom. That's the best I could work out from it. That he's moving on so fast, and these ladies, they can't satisfy him the way he wants them to, and they're just he literally talks about crying I think 2 or 3 times in this song. Not particularly sexy or appealing. This one I really, really struggled. So you're gonna have to help me even remember.
I can't really. I cannot hack these 50s grooves anymore. I just fucking can't do it. These Chuck Berry 50s grooves all the fucking time. At this point on the album, I started to get quite annoyed because I was just I can't. What am I supposed to do with this? What am I supposed to say about this? If Love Gun is like this or similar to this, then I'm going to have nothing to say about it.
This is the same year as the Sex Pistols and Ramones, by the way. I was looking at other albums as well as other great albums, and it's just night
the Damned, the Stooges. Came out before. The thing is though, with the 50s groove thing, right? I actually re-listened to the first the 3 how do you categorize these? I guess Love It. Basically, I listened to Love It to Death, $1 Billion Babies, and Killer. Right.
Oh, okay.
And there is a lot of times on those albums where they do kind of a da 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 da, a kind of 50s groove sort of thing. But the lyrics are just so demented and crazy, and the hooks are fantastic and melodic, and they always, and they switch it up, and not only that, but they're kind of interspersed on albums that have like really loads of really experimental moments, like really crazy experimental moments, really really progressive moments, really nasty moments as well. Like, it's not just this kind of like really sanitized kind of 50s throwback thing, but on this it's just relentless and so lazy. In terms of this, like, as a song, I quite like when it changes it up a little bit. I quite like that refrain that Danny was talking about. The problem is, it doesn't happen anywhere near as much as you would like it to. I think it happens about
that's true.
twice.
I agree with that.
Maybe I could be wrong. It's too infrequent, which is a shame, because it's quite a nice bit. It's quite a nice bit, and it's got quite a nice vocal refrain that happens over the top. I think the solo is really, really lazy and clumsy, and I think that bar Doctor Love, this album, I think that bar Doctor Love, I think this album is Ace at his worst, definitely, which is a shame, because one of the things that I think we were all agreeing on is that one of the things that was maybe lacking in Destroyer is that Bob Ezrin didn't let Ace kind of just be Ace. He didn't sound like Ace. I mean, there was obviously the stuff he didn't play on, but when he did play, his kind of style of guitar playing was missing. And I feel on this, bar Doctor Love, he really is like, he's hitting a lot of duds, missing a lot. I don't know what it's about. I think it's about premature ejaculation, but I'm not sure.
I thought that first, but
I ain't got a fucking clue. That was the only thing I could draw from it at all. It's just a bit rubbish. Moving on.
See you in your dream. I like the little sort of guitar arpeggio in the second verse. Comes in like a kind of da-da-da-da. I thought that the guitar solo was one of the better ones on the album, and I thought it was an utterly forgettable and shitty chorus otherwise, and I don't even remember it because it was so boring. Alex?
I remember some things from this song. The beginning, especially with, again, we kind of go back to that sort of 50s guitar thing, what we're saying, and Gene's vocals, it sounds very much like a sort of villain in a musical, just the way he's projecting his voice, and the party's over, baby, sort of thing. Like, the villain is like suddenly got the protagonist in his trap or whatever. There's something I really don't like about the chorus, and it's something to do about him saying, "See you in your dreams tonight." I feel as though that's not the way you should say it. Like, it's like, I'll be seeing you in my dreams, or you'll be seeing me in your dreams, but see you in your dreams tonight, I think is really clumsy and weird and kind of non-committal. I think that's just me being a bit weird with the lyrics on that one, but I think that needs a second go. But did anybody else pick up on the drums, especially towards the end of the song? There's this weird sucking sound, I think, on the bass, on the kick drum. And every time it's like this thump, thump, thump. And
maybe want to listen to it again.
I couldn't stop hearing it. Like, I heard it on the first go. Towards the end of the sound, it seems to get louder and louder. There's like this, like, it sounds like the kick drum, I don't know, something like it's like hitting a mat or something, and it's making like a slight suction sound, like a. And then I couldn't stop hearing it. So every time I re-listened to the song, my mind was just focused on the drums. Very boring. Very nothing. Alexei, please, do you have something to add?
No, I don't. I mean, I'm just not saying anything. I just lost it at this point. Like, this shit wasn't working. on your other albums. Stop trying to flog it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's it.
And I can't even imagine this one being great live. Like, surely at this point they're thinking, well, even in the studio, like, made as well, but this one we can rock it live. Like this one, where it's just like the breakdown. See you in your dreams tonight. They sound so bored. There's nothing really to do with it. Yeah, like I don't get what their intention was for this song.
No. Okay.
Complete guff.
Hard Luck
Right,
Woman.
Danny.
This is the other one I knew going in. I was familiar with this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I like this one. It is a Rod Stewart song. When I heard it, I wasn't super knowledgeable about older music when I was a kid, but even I heard it as a kid or teenager and just was like, sounds like Rod Stewart. It's like a Rod Stewart song. And lo and behold, as I'm sure we've all read, he was originally going to pitch it to Rod Stewart. Paul was going to pitch it to Rod Stewart, but he gave it to Peter, and I'm glad he did.
Yeah.
This is, to me, it's not as obviously on brand as Beth. I thought Beth, like I said last time, like them doing a musical number ballad heartthrob song really fit Kiss to me. It's theatrical. This one's more like a folk rock, acoustic Rod Stewart song. But look, why not? Same thing I said with Beth. It's not like the rock music's working out for them. It's not like their other shit, like the plot, is going anywhere. So why not something like this? It just leaves me thinking, they should really try experimenting with other styles more and doing other things more. And I don't think we're this group of people who are like, we're not even into rock music, we're not into hard rock. I think we like that stuff. But they're doing this better than they are. Like, look at all of the last songs we've listened to. I'm scrolling up my notes. This is better written. And I'm overpraising it now. Like, it's not this incredible song, but it's performed well. It suits Peter's voice very well. It's got a catchier chorus. Both sections. I like the Riggs, sailor's only daughter. I like the lyric, a child of the water. It's not a great lyric, but I like it. Keep saying, a child of the water. I'm not sure I quite get what the lyrics are saying, but that's fine.
No, I couldn't work this one out.
It's complete. It's garbage. It's not about anything. Out of curiosity, just I think that a lot of our, I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, that a lot of our sort of collective favourite tracks of theirs are ones where they seem to kind of deviate from the formula quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Bar, obviously, bar God of Thunder, bar Great Expectations, which are like the worst. Like Great Expectations being the worst. But really, the ones that we're kind of most excited about, or the ones that we kind of talk about as being like, I know Alex really likes Shout It Out Loud, I really like 100,000 Years Black Diamond, whatever, are ones where you could say, yeah, there's quite a drastic change there.
Yeah, but I think at this point, even Black Diamond can be considered a branch out. They've not repeated that.
Yeah.
They've not gone back to that.
No, I think so. I think so.
You think what?
No, I was saying that I agree with you. I think that Black Diamond is a change, isn't it? It's got like the, you've got that acoustic guitar intro, you got that really, really crazy outro of the great guitar solo, and then the really kind of psychedelic ending where they're slowing the tape down and stuff like that. Like, that's a different song for them. Different song.
Yeah.
Like,
so really, go on, Alexei, finish what you're saying.
No, I've done. You, okay. What, finish your point.
With Hard Luck Woman, I think it was you, Alexei, that said the shadow of Bob Ezrin is present on this album. And here it shows how, as much as they might, like to have thought. I think you're right, Alexei, especially for the sort of Paul way of thinking is they're kind of like, well, we've had boot camp, and now we've been through that though. We've had the struggle, trial by fire, and now I think he likes that being in the past and being able to talk about it like, oh, he was a real tyrant, but we're pros now. But what we're left, like, with Hard Luck Woman, it's like, well, he's had a positive effect in some way, Bob Ezrin, because they wouldn't have put this on if it wasn't for Beth. I don't think.
Yeah.
So I'm happy about that.
And
the vocals
he
are
has
good.
said that. Yeah, he said that. Yeah, he
Mm.
said that the main that the thinking behind it was, let's try to replicate Beth, or let's try to do something that's follow up on the success of it.
Yeah. Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, if you want to look at it a bit cynically, then yeah, it could be like, oh well, Beth was a hit. They're sort of like a surprise hit that sort of fell like onto their lap, and then they're just, oh well, let's try and recreate it. But they do a pretty good job with this. I agree with you, Danny. Like, this isn't really my sort of thing, but I appreciate that they're going back to it and trying something different. Chris sounds good. I think it lacks the tenderness of Beth. Like, that felt like Beth felt raw, and I also liked that Beth actually still fitted well in like the Kiss universe, if that made sense, because it was about like him being with the band and not being at home. While this one is much more a departure, like lyrically, and sort of from that. And some nice moments.
I think it's fair to say that this is lyrically is a lot more abstract than Beth is. Like, Beth is like about something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then there's some people can, like, you know, relate to it or extrapolate their own feelings for it and stuff like that. Whereas this, this hasn't got that same sort of personality, does it?
Yeah, but it's not bad. It's just not my thing. This is very much of the time. But the chorus, it works well. I think vocals sound good. I'm a bit unsure about how much they should like go into this sort of area, because even though it is better, I'm not sold on it completely yet. But I don't know, Alexei, what do you think? Do you think they should continue to do more stuff like this?
Not like this, probably not. But I do think that what I have noticed, and like what I was saying earlier, is that when they do tend to do something a bit different, I'd say maybe more often than not, it's okay. It's relatively successful. Like, even something like Mainline is very different. It doesn't sound like a Kiss song. It sounds like a Creedence Clearwater Revival song.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. It's good. It's good. Even Baby Driver off this album, right, doesn't sound like a Kiss song at all. Or if it is, it would be on something like Dynasty or something like that, but maybe not as heavy. It's good. It's probably my favourite one off the album. So it's sort of like, I mean, basically the whole thing, the picture that's been built, basically from looking at these albums, is they're at least at this point, maybe it changes later on, they're just filler. A lot of it is filler. And then there's some moments where you go like, oh, that's kind of interesting. That's kind of cool. Like, they're just like, for the most part, just kind of churning out very, 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 very middle of the road, underwhelming rock songs, really. But in terms of this song, it's very, very Rod Stewart. Like, it's incredibly Rod Stewart. It's kind of hard to ignore. But Peter sings it well. The bass line in this, actually, I think is really good. I think it moves around a lot and gives the song quite a nice driving feel. I think that without it, it would just be sort of like arpeggiated. Like, let's say it was just doing root notes or something like that. It would just kind of be arpeggiated guitars, which would leave it quite bare.
That's true.
But I don't think there's really a hook. I never hear a chorus when I listen to this. And I know obviously it was put out to replicate the success of Beth, but it doesn't really have that sort of universal appeal that song has. You know what I mean? It's a lot more distant, it's a lot more abstract. There isn't really...
Not a child of the water.
I feel like Beth still has... Yeah, I mean, it's just fucking... It means nothing, doesn't it? It's just nonsense. The thing is, like, with Beth, there is like a fragility to it, and there's this kind of man with quite a sweet sort of raspy voice in a cat suit, kind of singing this song about, missing his partner, which, despite it being in a band setting, a lot of people can sort of relate to, and I don't think this really has that. It doesn't have that same quality. It's a lot less emotional. To me, it probably should have been an album track, not a single. But then, however, on this record, it 100% should be a single because there's no way anything else, bar maybe Baby Driver or Callin Doctor Love, could even come close to being a single. It's kind of like that thing that Danny was saying, where it's kind of like you sort of look at certain songs on these records because the rest of it is so boring and so plodding and stiff and dull, almost with rose-tinted spectacles, because you are like, well, at least this is different. At least this is a change of pace. And it would be interesting to hear it out of this setting, properly, to see actually, whether it holds up or not. But yeah, it's alright. It's okay. Next one. The last track, the album closer, Making Love. Danny.
Making Love. They love their apostrophes in their song titles. We got Making Love. It's got a nice opening riff. On the heavier end. Quite Led Zeppelin. And it's got a weird, acoustic guitar bridge. It's very similar to I Want You, where when I first heard it, I was like, the fuck is this? But by the end, I'm like, I'll take that, yeah. Okay, it's something else. Something else. Same with, I wrote in my notes, the fuck are these drums at the end? There's this slamming.
Oh, I got that. It sounded fucking awful.
But no, honestly, on the last listen, I put...
way too loud.
My last note is, nah, I'll take the shitty slamming drums, haha, why not? That was the last thing I wrote. So, it's like, why not? Look, if the album's gonna be this boring with all these tracks, I'll take this what sound that they're doing. Yeah. The solo's nice and fast, but it needs to scream and wail more. The tone's not there. So it sort of musically fits, but it's not quite performed well enough, in my opinion. I ended up just seeing, at least it's faster, is kind of how I felt about this song. It's not plotcore. It's fast, at least. The chorus is weak, which is a real shame. If this had a good chorus, and not just him repeating, making love, like that, it would be a lot better, I think. Again, it goes back to what I was saying before in my tangent to you, Alex. It's like they're not thinking about these sudden changes. It's becoming a theme for them to just... Now that acoustic guitar bit in the bridge, it's just this very sudden change to a different thing. And again, I don't want to sound like I'm saying it can't be that way. You could do sudden changes in songs and they can be great. But it just feels tacked on. It just feels like, oh, well, maybe we'll do like that in the bridge, maybe. They should be doing, I think they should be studying riff makers like Jimmy Page. If that's really what they want to go for, then yeah. Try and write more riffs like this. Because it's better than the plot. Again, even the bridge, it's better than the plot. So I suppose I've said quite a bit about that. Actually, that's more than I've said about most of the other songs. It's not great, though.
Yeah, I'm surprised, man.
Yeah, it seems like you. Yeah.
No, it's not. It's just, again, it's literally, it is faster. It is a fast song, and I'm happy to hear faster music from Kiss. Alex?
Yeah, but that shit leaps out.
I'm glad you found a difference in it, because this sums up all of the problems of the album, even though it isn't the worst track. Yeah. But it has all the issues. It's the same again with first chorus, and a super long outro with a very underwritten chorus. And in this one, he's just making love all night long. Like that's the chorus right there. There's really nothing to it. I love Paul. I think he's great, and I know he tries his hardest. But this sounds like someone is doing a caricature of Paul. Like somebody is making fun of Paul, and has written a song for him. He comes across awfully on here, just like a horny teenage boy. Very underlit lyrics, nothing going on. And the only other thing I got from the track was those drums. Those drums at the end where it's just... It's such an odd take, which, again, maybe you're right, Danny. Maybe they're trying something and they thought, oh, this will be a really big, impactful end of the album. it doesn't work. It's again, it's one of those things where it makes you like look at your phone or whatever you listen to it on and being like, "This is right." It's like, have I changed something? Yeah, this just sums up the album for me. Making Love, Alexei.
I've only I'll just read. I got like 4 notes. Oh wait, 4 or 5. I got 5 notes. I just put budget Zeppelin, awful lyrics, good guitar solo. Oh, they're repeat as Tom's because there's a bit where he does a thing at the end, and then I put that snare sound at the end is absolutely horrible, and then that's it.
Well, we all agree.
So that's it.
That's the
that's it.
album.
I think it seems that really we're all sort of on the same page. I feel like this happens quite a lot, though, that we don't really have many disagreements. But I'd say that for me, although this isn't seen, I'd say that although this isn't seen as, sort of in the same category as the first 3 albums, like a lot of people would put this above those records and say like, oh no, this is like golden era of the band. I think this sits very, 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 very comfortably with those albums. Very, very comfortably. Everything feels like a massive step back from Destroyer, a huge step back. And I don't see how any of the members could honestly listen to this and not see it as that, as not see it as a massive step back, or not see it as like an unworthy follow-up. It really is quite a dip in quality. It's a lot less interesting. It's less textured. It's less dynamic. The playing is a lot stiffer. The guitar tones are worse or a lot weaker. The songwriting is worse. Bob Ezrin made a huge point, apparently, of saying you need to stop writing, as he put it, suck me, fuck me songs, and they are back quite hard.
They're plentiful
on this, because one of the things about Destroy, which is good, is that theme just wasn't there. Really, it was kind of more about being young and being rebellious, and it was kind of more of like a rallying cry for a certain kind of teenager at a certain time. Also, probably most importantly, is it's not as heavy as Destroyer. It really isn't. It's a lot less impactful, which is what they wanted. Mm-hmm. They wanted a heavier, more grassroots album, and it's sonically a lot weaker. It doesn't punch anywhere near as hard as Destroyer does. And it does go to show how much of Destroyer, or how much we like or we thought that album. I mean, obviously we didn't say it was great. I mean, none of us really recommended it. It's a lot better than this, but a lot of what we liked about it was Bob Ezrin, and this album goes to show that. It really, really does feel very, very, very at home with that initial run of albums. I wouldn't recommend it. I would say that the choice for me, and you guys might disagree, is whether it's better than Dress to Kill, basically. Because it's better than Hotter Than Hell. Okay, it's better than Hotter Than Hell. So the question is, does it go beneath Dress to Kill, or does it go above it? And look, here's the thing. I actually think Dress to Kill has better production. I actually think Dress to Kill sounds better than this. And there's 2 songs on Dress to Kill that I like, whereas with this, there's kind of only really one. I mean, I think Hard Luck Woman's alright, but in terms of like songs I actually like, there's only really one, which is Baby Driver, and I wouldn't defend it that hard. So for me, it's a choice between, is it better than Dress to Kill? But what do you guys think?
Okay, for me, it's whether I think it's at the bottom, in the bottom category, and it's whether we think it's better or worse than Hotter Than Hell. And I think it comes down to,
what the fuck, really?
Yeah, because this album is really boring, and there's so few highlights. In fact, I don't think there's any highlights on Rock and Roll Over. While Hotter Than Hell, we've got Mainline, and maybe one of a good one.
Parasite.
And there are some lowlights in Hot and
Parasites.
Hell. That's not. So I think for me, it's either the worst album we've listened to or one up, so above Hot and Hell. Danny, what do you think?
I'll tell you one thing just off that comment. The feeling I had after listening, because I listened to this a few times. I listened to it about 3 or 4 times, and consistently the feelings that I had afterwards were the worst I've felt after listening to any of them. Just fatigued, bored, tired. Confused, because I was like, well, what am I going to say about half of this? Like, I haven't really got much to say about any of it, because it's just the same shit over and over and over again. From that standpoint, yeah, it's probably the worst, but also Hotter Than Hell, man, like, the production on Hotter Than Hell is so bad, and the plot, like, don't get me wrong, they, like, consistently Hotter Than Hell is a lot worse, like, song-wise. Like, there's a lot less energy. The plot is intense, like really, really intense.
This album's less ploddy
than Hell, and I feel it's less ploddy. It's still quite stiff, but it's less ploddy. Like the production, and also the production is not as bad. Danny,
yeah, some interesting stuff there, fellas. Some interesting stuff. I think you're right about the plot, Alexei. I think this album. Yeah, it's just... for me, I'm with you, Alexei. It's between this and Dress to Kill, actually. I think it is better than Hotter Than Hell. But I just think Destroyer was such an opportunity for them to escape so much of the less desirable things of the previous albums they'd made. And we just get these fucking 50s sounding rock and roll riffs, these blues notes that don't fit. Now, Buddy Guy could do it. B.B. King could do it. Rory Gallagher could do it at the time. Write that sort of music with those progressions and those sorts of melodies and solos. So I don't want to sound homogenous, like I'm telling them to get rid of the blues notes and just play in a major key or a minor key. On the contrary, they're homogenizing their own music. They'll write a heavy riff and they'll throw in some 50s notes, or they'll write a banging pop song with a wicked chorus, and they'll throw in a little into the middle of it that just doesn't fit to me at all. It's so cheesy to me. Whenever they do that, they're just making all of their music sound the same by doing that. And also, yeah, Alexei, you made a very good point just now, which I hadn't even thought about heaviness, which is, like, if this is no return to form or return to the sort of grassroots rock and roll that they were known for, because not a track on this album sounds as heavy as Detroit Rock City. Not a track sounds as heavy or as hard rocking as that.
No, not close. Not even close.
So, I would say, like, especially if we compare this to the earlier albums, there is some, I'm being very kind, maturing in the arranging. But we're talking about the post-Bob Ezrin sort of stuff. I'll take random acoustic guitars at various points over, just the same old shit. So we're left with this problem where we've got these random sort of meaningless changes in songs. There's not a lot of development in the songs. There's not a lot of them fleshing out ideas that they have. It's very, like we said, that near the start, it all feels very like a cash grab. We've got to ride this momentum that we've got after Destroyer, get another album out. And so,
like we said, what? Oh, God damn it!
Oh,
shit!
Am I back?
Okay.
Bollocks.
Hey, yeah. We're almost there, guys.
Let me go again.
Go on, Danny.
Am I back?
You're back.
Oh yeah, you're back. Yeah.
Where did you lose me?
You were just about to say something.
You're about to say.
You've got me talking about your thing about heaviness, Alexei. I'll just go back a bit.
Yeah.
Say it again.
Yeah, just go back a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So there's some maturity in the arranging, and that's me being very kind. But it's more like, sorry, I've lost my. Anyway, it's just what we get is like the post Bob Ezrin stuff. Actually, that's the maturity in the arranging. that we didn't have before. But all that really comes to be in the end is just some random acoustic guitars here and there. I'll take it over Hotter Than Hell sort of writing, where it's just the same thing over and over. But I want more development. They're not fleshing out their ideas. They're not giving these ideas time, and it comes back to this, what we were talking about near the start, where it's a very corporate album. It's just like a cash grab. It's like we're riding the success of Destroyer. We need to get another album out. So that just feels like there was no time given to any of the ideas that they had here. They're like, oh yeah, we've learned how to be experimental. Yeah, we got that. Yep, so let's put some acoustic guitars every now and then, and we'll do a folk Rod Stewart song. It's a step back.
Yeah.
I think you said that too, Alexei. It's a step back. And I would put it, I don't know, Dress to Kill had a couple of good songs on it, so... And Dress to Kill, the songs that were good were sort of good in the way I want Kiss to be good.
Well, let me remind you, right now the ranking is Destroyer number 1, Dress to Kill number 2, Kiss number 3, Hotter Than Hell number 4. So are you thinking between Dress to Kill and Kiss?
Actually, it's hard for me to compare to Kiss. Kiss is their first album is so hard.
It's hard.
Because it's so up and down.
I think it goes below Kiss.
Well, you see, the first album, you've got some highs, because you got 3 bangers basically on that one, and the riff in Deuce is okay. It's just the lyrics are horrible. So you've got kind of like 3.5 good songs on the album, but the plot is really, really hard on that album. Like, really, really hard. And the production is not as good as this.
But at least it's something, though. Think about how much we struggled to talk about this album.
I'm not going to lie, Alex. Alex is tempting me a little bit, because I think objectively, I agree with Danny. And I think he's probably right. But emotionally, what it does to me in terms of the feelings I get are like just exhaustion and boredom and stuff. Even though objectively, it's probably not as bad as Heart of Hell, but my reaction to it afterwards is worse, because really, is it possible that the spectre of Bob Ezrin and the fact that this is the fifth album in, and they have not budged, and not only not budged, but moved backwards, is that not insulting enough to a point where you go, right, well, we've given you enough rope, and you're still making the same mistakes? So,
yeah.
Does it get docked for that, or are we looking at it in isolation? Because if you look at it in isolation, I'd say as a whole, as an album from front to back. Because remember, bear in mind, Dress to Kill, I actually was willing to put beneath the self-titled, because the self-titled had 3 great songs on it. Mm-hmm, whereas I don't think Dress to Kill hit those heights. But as an album, as a consistent album from front to back, it was better than the self-titled, probably.
Yeah, that's right.
This I think very much fits with Dress to Kill in that way, in terms of the overall quality is consistent, but it never hits the heights of the first album. So
I think the mood of the room is to put it between Hotter Than Hell and self-titled.
I'm happy with that.
I'm happy with that, because to me, actually, I was just comparing it to Dress to Kill, but actually, I'm struggling to say this is a better album than the self-titled. God.
I'd say this album annoyed me more, as in like, and irritated me more as a listening experience than Heart of Hell did.
Ooh, okay. So you're thinking maybe in lower. Okay. Well,
I think no. I mean, look, it's not as bad as Heart. I won't go that far.
I don't think
I'm putting it 4th.
Well, I'd say that. But when you put in combination, but when you put in combination those feelings it brought out of me, and the fact that it's a more consistent album, it goes above Heart of Hell, but it's not as good as Dress to Kill.
Okay.
So, sorry, that's not the vibe, is it? So Danny was saying, Danny, you saying that you're feeling it should go Heart of Hell
between
this
us,
self-titled.
Yes, I think between us, that's what it feels like we're saying.
Mm-hmm.
sorry, that is what I meant, because it does bring out more negative feelings in me, but it's more consistent an album than Heart and Hell is. So for that reason, I'd say I agree. I think it goes Heart and Hell, this self-titled, Dress to Kill Destroyer, right? Dress to Kill Destroyer.
We're in agreement.
All right,
and
next up is
Over Hot and Hell. That was the full title. There we go.
Love Gun.
Okay.
Is that right?
Woo!
Love Gun next?
It's Love Gun next. Let me look at some of the tracks. Hang on. Give me a sec. Right, okay. So straight off the bat, it's got one absolute banger on it.
Wait, let's save this. Let's wrap it up, and then we'll talk about this.
Okay. All right, let's wrap it up. It's got one absolute banger on it. But I'll tell you one thing. If it's anything like this album, there's going to be like nothing to say about it. You know what I am really looking forward to, though? After we do this album, there is a change in direction.
Okay.
Over the horizon. And I'm excited for that.
How are we signing off on this one? Are we singing, or are we just going off on a whimper?
Let's sing. What song should we sing?
Can we sing?
Only daughter.
Okay, cut it.